There's always one surprise team every year in the NFL that shocks everybody, and I know exactly who it's going to be this year, and it is going to be none other than the Miami Dolphins. Now, that may surprise a lot of people, but I am sky high on this Dolphins team. They've been so neglected. Everybody's been counting them out. Tua gets hurt last year. They have a string of injuries. Everybody has forgotten how truly good this team is when they are at their peak, and I believe that the Dolphins are going to remind everybody of how good they truly are. Let's recap last year. We'll get into this season. We'll get into the schedule predictions. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Caden Kubler, and thank you guys for watching. The Miami Dolphins are sleeping giants in the AFC, and we see it every single year, whether it's the Washington Commanders last year making a deep postseason run, the Cincinnati Bengals after being one of the worst teams in the NFL making it to the Super Bowl. You see it all the time, and I believe that for Miami, they have all the proper pieces in place to contend legitimately in the AFC and try and get back to the postseason. Last year, Tua gets hurt. He has the concussion problems. Everybody's super worried. His future was up in the air for a solid period of time during the season. He comes back later in the year, and the Dolphins are almost able to sneak into the postseason. They kind of salvage things, and they only ended 8-9 considering how bad that everything was. You have Tua that gets hurt. Jalen Phillips has another season-ending injury for the second straight year in a row. Bradley Chubb tore his ACL from the year before and missed the entirety of last season. So two of their top defensive players don't play as well, and you have the Tua injury. Last year was a scratch for Miami if I'm looking at it from that perspective, but now there's a lot of pressure on this season. A lot of people are talking, and it's kind of in the tea leaves right now that maybe Mike McDaniel and general manager Chris Grier could be on the hot seat right now. And I don't personally believe that Mike McDaniel should be on the hot seat because I believe that he is one of the most talented coaches in football. He is an offensive mastermind. You look at what he's done with Tua transcending his career. I can go on and on and on about Mike McDaniel and the job that he has done in Miami. And after one mediocre year because of injuries, now everybody wants to say he's on the hot seat. I don't personally believe that he should be, but this is a big year. This could be a make or break year for Mike McDaniel and the general manager, Chris Grier. The Dolphins, ladies and gentlemen, only 2 years ago had one of the best offenses in all of football. You combine the fact that Tua Tagovailoa got hurt last year. They don't have him. They have a multitude of different quarterbacks coming in trying to fill that void. It doesn't work. But when Tua is healthy, he's proven that he can put good results on the football field. You can question whether they can win in cold weather games. You can question whether they can beat some of the top opponents in football. That's fine. Tua Tagovailoa has proven that he can lead one of the best offenses in football and get them into the postseason, and that's what he did in 2023. That's what he did in 2022, and people are so quick to forget that. You look at 2023, the Miami Dolphins had the most total yards per game. They had the most passing yards per game. They had the second most points per game, and they won 11 football games. They got into the postseason. Now, yes, they didn't look the toughest against the Chiefs in that super cold game where people were getting frostbite in the stands. Yes, they didn't look the toughest there, but they won 11 games and got into the postseason in a brutal AFC. I look across the AFC. I look at the talent. I look at the quarterbacks. I look at the coaches. It is a bloodbath. It's ridiculous, and it's only continuing to get better. Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be back. Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh are going to take another step. The Chiefs have all of this fuel after losing in the Super Bowl. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. You see where I'm going with this. The Dolphins made the postseason in this brutal AFC in back-to-back years. Now, everybody's counting them out, and they're so close to getting back to that spot. With everything considered, only going 8-9 with how bad everything truly was last year is honestly a testament to how good of a coach Mike McDaniel is. Now everybody's ready to jump ship. There are a few concerns that I have for this team. Yes, obviously the defense is a little bit of a concern. The toughness is a little bit of a concern. Do people still respect Mike McDaniel in the locker room? That's kind of what people have been talking about in the offseason. I don't know enough about that personally, but where I would say I'm questioning this team is definitely on the defensive side of the football. Now, health has to be the number one point of emphasis for this team. If you have Bradley Chubb and you have Jalen Phillips for the entirety of this year, this defensive line is going to be really solid, but the cornerback room and in specific the secondary is really going to be a Question mark. You lost Kader Kohu for the entirety of the year. He had an ACL injury in July, and he's going to miss the entirety of the 2025 season. They also lost Artie Burns, who also suffered a season-ending ACL injury. So they are really thin at the cornerback spot, and that's definitely a point of concern. They also lost Jalen Ramsey. They traded him and Jonnu Smith. They got Minka Fitzpatrick back, which is really big for this defense. He's going to be a huge addition to this secondary. They're going to need all the help they can get, but it's going to be health on that defense. I really like Chop Robinson. Zach Zeeler's great. Benito Jones, Bradley Chubb, Jordan Brooks, Jalen Phillips. This is a really good defensive line. They also picked up Matthew Judon not too long ago. This defensive line can really get after the quarterback, in my opinion, but it's going to be the secondary. They're not going to be able to sit back there and let Patrick Mahomes dime them up, Justin Herbert, all these great quarterbacks in the AFC. They're going to run wild on that secondary if that defensive line doesn't get after it. But this team's identity in the Mike McDaniel era has been the offense. It's been Tua Tagovailoa. It's been Tyreek Hill. It's been Jalen Waddle. Now you add Devon Achane to the mix, who might miss the first few weeks of the season. This team can get it done in a multitude of ways offensively, and that's why I believe they're so scary. That's why I believe they can hold up in the AFC. That's why I believe they can win enough football games to find them back in the postseason. There are a lot of teams that are great in the AFC. The Denver Broncos are emerging. The New England Patriots are going to be a lot better just within the AFC East with the Dolphins and the Bills and the Jets. The Jets, I do think, are going to take a step back. And of course, the Bills have run wild on this division over the last few years. But the AFC is emerging. You have a lot of great teams that are continuing to get better, and I believe that Miami is going to throw their hat in the ring in this conversation. Let's go through the schedule. It's not an easy one. They've got their ups and downs. But the first thing that stands out to me is they've got to capitalize in the beginning of the schedule. They have to take a lead almost in that wild card race with all of these teams. I do think Buffalo will win this division, but they've got to take a lead in the wild card race as early as possible because they've got a few pretty rough patches in the schedule overall. Let's hop into week one on the road against Indianapolis, where they are an underdog, which honestly surprises me. I like Miami to win this game. Daniel Jones is now the starting quarterback for Indy. I really believe that Miami, this is a winnable game for them. They've got to take care of business here against New England week 2. This should be a split overall in the division. I think New England's going to be a lot better. I like Miami to win this one, though, in week 2 to start 2-0, get the juices flowing, get the vibes going. Then on a short week on Thursday Night Football on the road against Buffalo, I think they'll drop this one. Ultimately, Buffalo, like I said, will win the division. They are going to be a contender to win the Super Bowl. Everybody expects that out of Buffalo. I have Miami dropping this one here. They're 2-1 after 3 weeks. They then get a little bit of time because they'll play on Monday Night Football, so they kind of get a week and a half to recoup, rejuvenate after losing to Buffalo. They'll beat New York here. They're 3-1 after 4 weeks. Then on Sunday, they will play Carolina on the road. This is another game that they've got to take care of business. Carolina is going to be a lot better. I expect them to be a lot better. I believe Miami wins this one, though. They're 4-1. Then they will play the Los Angeles Chargers at home. I expect this to be a loss. I think the Chargers are going to be phenomenal this year. They're going to be a postseason team for sure. They're 4-2 after 6 weeks. Then they'll go on the road against Cleveland. I expect Miami to win this one. This is what I'm talking about right here. We can already tell through the first 7 weeks, the schedule is favorable. The Chargers and Buffalo, those are probably 2 games that they drop, but everyone else, Miami's got to win those games to get ahead in this wild card race. Through 7 weeks, they're 5-2. Then they're going to go on the road against Atlanta. I expect them to win this one here. They are 6-2 before they go through an absolute gauntlet on a short week. I have them losing to Baltimore here. They're 6-3. I think they bounce back, though, however, against Buffalo. I think they split against Buffalo. This is a really big win to try and prove to everybody that they can win these tough games, in my opinion. So they're 7-3. I will have them losing to Washington. This is going to be a international game, so I have them losing to Washington here. They are 7-4 as they head into the bye week, a much needed bye week. As long as they can go 1-2 throughout that 3-week stretch with Baltimore, Buffalo, and Washington, I think they'll be in a pretty good spot to try and get into the playoffs. They can't go 0-3. If they go 0-3 against Baltimore, Buffalo, and Washington, it might be time to kiss this season goodbye in terms of them winning tough games, them beating legitimate postseason contenders. All 3 of those teams can win the Super Bowl this year, in my opinion. So they've got to go 1-2 throughout that stretch. They get the much needed bye week. They bounce back against the New Orleans Saints. They're 8-4. They're going to go on the road against New York. This is a tough one, pivotal game. I have them winning this one. They are 9-4. I have them losing against Pittsburgh on the road on Monday Night Football. They are 9-5. I have them losing to Cincinnati on Sunday Night Football. I like Cincinnati to come in there and pick up a big time win. They lose 2 in a row, a little bit of a skid. They are 9-6 at this point. This is the point in the season where it's a make or break. Another tough point. They've got Tampa Bay at home. They've got New England on the road. They've got to win one of these games if they wanted to get into the postseason, in my opinion. Go 10-7. You're not making the playoffs in the AFC at 9-8. I like them to beat Tampa Bay at home, getting a shootout this game. I like them to win this one in a tight one, and I think they drop against New England in Week 18. I like the Miami Dolphins to go 10-7. Now, I don't know if 10-7 gets you into the playoffs in a brutal AFC. 9-8 definitely won't. I don't know if 10-7 does. I think it will, but you've got so many great teams, so many emerging teams. It's so tough to predict who's going to make it. And obviously it comes down to quarterback play at the end of the day. I think Tua is a better quarterback than Bo Nix overall when I look at two teams that are going to be trying to get into the wild card when it's Week 17, Week 18, when you've got one of the best defenses in the NFL. And the Broncos, they're not going to win this division, but it's going to come down to quarterback play. I like Tua to really bounce back this year and remind everyone how good he is. The Jaguars, can they throw their hat in the ring in this conversation? The Bengals are definitely going to be there. So that Week 16 game against Cincinnati is going to be absolutely massive. And as a matter of fact, Week 15 against Pittsburgh is going to be huge as well, because Cincinnati and Pittsburgh theoretically could both be trying to throw their hat in the ring to make it into the wild card. I don't see either one of them winning the division per se. This is a huge year for Miami, make or break year potentially for McDaniels and for Greer. I'm really excited to see what they can do. I'm excited to see what Tua Tagovailoa can do, because it seems like if things go south this year, I don't know what truly happens. We saw Tyreek Hill at the end of last year say he's out of Miami, and a lot of people aren't excited about this team. Like, oh, McDaniels already lost the locker room. Tyreek's checked out. Tua got his money and now he's good. And, if he gets one more head injury, is his career over with? A lot of huge narratives and storylines for this Dolphins team coming into this year. But I'll take the side of Miami. I'm bullish on this team. I'm excited to see what they can do. I think this offense is going to be the point of emphasis, the area that gets them into the postseason. Don't sleep on the Miami Dolphins, because this is a team that theoretically could shock a lot of people, because we have it every year. They could shock a lot of people and get into the playoffs. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Caden Coupler, and thank you guys for watching.